What's going on, everybody? I hope y'all are ready. Cherie, you ready?
I's ready.
Is you ready?
I is ready.
Is you is or is you ain't ready?
I is.
You're supposed to.
I'm doing too many things over here.
Ladies and gentlemen, stay tuned for the live edition of Behind Closed Doors with the Brookses. We'll be back right after this. And we are back. What's going on, everybody? I hope you guys are doing good. For those of you guys that are just jumping into the channel, it's very rarely, I guess I could say, in 51 episodes, we probably have gone live less than a handful of times, but we like it when we do. Our hope is that you would chime in, invite somebody. We're going to do the Q&A, and we're going to talk about why we are leaving Panama. Yeah. For those that don't know, I'm Glenn P. Brooks Jr. I'm an author. I'm a speaker. I'm a relationship coach, and this lovely, light-skinned young lady sitting next to me is the lovely
Cherie A. Brooks Jr., author, speaker, relationship coach, and the lovely, light-skinned wife of this chocolate drop here, Glenn P. Brooks Jr.
So, you got a bunch of people that come for us in the comments, Cherie, and we might as well talk about this while people are coming in the room. Why do you refer to yourself as the lovely light-skinned, and when I do it, people often jump in the chat. What's with the light skin stuff? Why you gotta point out this, that, and the third? We did a whole episode on why this is. But Cherie, for those that don't know you, maybe they haven't done their homework, can you clarify that real quick?
Sure. So it's actually funny to me when people comment about it, but yeah, I refer to myself as the lovely light skin because growing up I was very insecure. I was insecure not only of my complexion, but a lot of things about myself. And so I celebrate everything about myself. I love my complexion. I embrace it. I love that we are different. And I don't mind highlighting that because that is a part of who I am. And I believe that I'm a beautiful, light-skinned, bronze, caramel woman. And that's my subjective view of me. And
it ain't subjective because there's a contrast.
And so, it's not meant in any way to offend anyone. This is purely about me. I love when Glenn refers to me that way. That's just our little thing that we do. I hope you guys don't get offended by it. Yeah,
it's funny because if you took some time and scrolled all of our content, about 5 years ago, we did a podcast called Not Behind Closed Doors, Breakfast with the Brookses. And I never will forget when we were living in Virginia Beach where that all started. And sort of it came about. So with that being said, I'd love for you guys to chime in. If you are here live, chime in so that we can get the chat populated and I can actually see the comments. But today we're going to celebrate. We are celebrating the last episode of season 1 of Behind Closed Doors. Cherie and I, for those that don't know, maybe you have not met us yet, but we've been living here in Panama for the last 18 months, almost 18 months now, and it's been a journey. And what we wanted to do was to give people sort of a bird's eye view from people who are living here every day and what the everyday life of expat living could look like. I know that now that we're in this whole racially charged climate that we're in, and it's been this way for a number of years, but with the recent presidential election, there's a whole bunch of, disparity, and it's everybody is split, and you got half people thinking this way, one people, feeling that way, and it's all legitimate. Everybody, I mean, your feelings are legitimate. I get it, but as a result, people are looking to get out of the country, babe, and they're like, "Yo, like, what is Panama really like?"
Right. First, I'd like to welcome Patrick from Germany, and also want to welcome our dear friend, Abroadability, for joining us, and also Calvin Jennings. But also, before we really get into this content today, I did want to recognize our newest members to our YouTube channel, Your Sweet Natural Life, and also Joseph Brewer, who have joined our membership page. If you do subscribe to our channel and you're interested in joining, where you can get behind the scenes info, where you can get when we release content, you'll get access to it a day earlier. You also will get recognized. You get your shout outs. And we'll be adding some more features as we go along. But if you'd like to join it, click the join link on the page so that you can become a member of our channel. So as you were talking about, Glenn, and I wanted to kind of go to this. One thing, we recently did a few videos talking about some of the myths, or breaking some of the myths, talking about things that you need to know before relocating to Panama. And we actually had our guy Omar on those videos. We actually did 2 shows. And I recently received a question from somebody, and they were like, it seems like you guys are pointing out all the negative things about Panama. And that was not our intention. Our intention is to give people a realistic view of Panama, because people often think when they're going to relocate anywhere, especially if it's somewhere tropical or whatever, you see the sun, you see all the beautiful things, but I want you to come fully prepared, knowing there are some challenges, there are some hurdles you're going to have to overcome, there are some things you're going to have to adjust to. So it's nothing here that I would consider negative. I think there are things that we had to adjust to. I think that there are things that are different from living in the United States, but I don't think that they're negative. I think they simply are different. And we wanted to point those things out for people so that if you are planning on coming, you're considering relocating to Panama, that you consider those things. I do, as I said in that video, recommend that you do come and visit first before you relocate, so that you can see for yourself. But that was one thing I wanted to address real quick as we get into this content.
So real quick, let me just say again, shout out to our friend Aisha from Abroadability. One of the things that we love about Aisha is that, like us, she is going to give it to you straight. As a person that is navigating living abroad with with cerebral palsy. If you ever visit her channel, we certainly encourage you to go visit her channel, because she's going to give you both sides. I want you guys to always take this into account whenever you're doing your research. When you are researching anything, you're always considering it from the perspective of the person sharing it. So I'll give you a quick example. I don't have a physical ability or inability to navigate the streets of Panama, but our friend Aisha does. Mm-hmm. So when Aisha talks, she's always going to talk through the lens of navigating the streets of any city. And by the way, she's extremely well traveled, so it's not just she lives here in Panama City. But I wanted you guys to say that, to understand that when we're talking, we're only talking from our perspective. The other thing I want to add, babe, is that we're not experts. Right. Hey, Stephanie, it's good to see you. Stephanie chiming in from Spain. Good to see you. We're not experts. We're not relocation specialists. We're not travel agents. We're not people that get paid based on you visiting here or not. We've had more than 100 people visit us, have pulled up because we're here since we've been here in 18 months, whether that's friends, family, colleagues, clients, people who, and just so that you know, when we say clients, Cherie and I are relationship specialists. We've authored now 10 books between the two of us. Yay. Cherie just recently released that. We'll get into that in a second, babe. But the point I'm making is that we have a whole online business that we launched and was in flux with like long before we came here. So we didn't come here to make money. We came here to live life. And what we're doing is, our hope is that you get a chance to kind of take a bird's eye view, or sort of a behind closed doors look at how we're living our life, babe. Right.
And so can I do my shameless plug now?
Absolutely.
So my shameless plug, I just recently released a devotional for couples. It's available on Amazon. I'll actually put the link in the description after this live, so that you guys can go to the description and get the link. I really am passionate about helping couples to have healthy and functional relationships, and we're believers and believe that that's the foundation of every relationship. And so this is something that's been on my heart for actually a couple of years. I've been working on it, and I finally released it. And so that's my latest release. And so, like I said, it's available on Amazon, Kindle version as well as paperback version. And like I said, I'll put the information in the description later. But let's get into this chat. So first, I want to ask you guys, if you have any questions if you watched any of our videos or questions in regard to us living here in Panama, or even the bigger question, because we started the title that says we're leaving Panama for now. If you want to know why we're leaving, put your questions in the chat and just put a Q, capital Q, in front of it so that it'll stick out, so we'll know that you have a question so that we can come back to you. But one thing that I did want to talk about, and you brought this up, I'm not going to speak on one side or the other of that issue, but I think that if you are looking to relocate, that you need to make sure that you have a solid motivation to do that. And what I mean by that, don't allow fear to cause you to run away from something. I think that you want to make an educated decision before you uproot your family and move anywhere. And don't let fear of the unknown. And at this point, it is unknown. Okay, so we know who the president is, and they've said a whole lot of things, but they always say a whole lot of things. And that don't mean that stuff is going to happen. And so don't allow the fear of what possibly could happen to cause you to jump ship and to run away. Now, if you've been considering this anyway, you have already been doing your research, and you're looking at, for a number of reasons, that this may be the best place for you, then please, by all means, continue doing your research. You can schedule a consultation with me if you'd like to get some of your direct questions answered. And as I said before, come and visit Panama. Come visit so you can see for yourself what it's like. The biggest thing I think that people don't consider, living in the United States, there's a certain culture, there's a tone throughout the country. And when you move to any other country, their culture shock is real. That the way that they move, the way that things are done is often very different, and it's an adjustment. And if you don't have the mindset to make those type of adjustments, it's going to be very difficult for you to move anywhere.
Yeah, and I want to speak on that really quickly. Shout out to Calvin. I see that you and your wife are coming. I trust that you guys have a really safe trip. Although Cherie and I are not specialists, we're not people that do this relocation thing for a living. Obviously, we've relocated, so we know what our journey looked like. We certainly can connect you to people who we trust, people that we do business with, people that we've watched do good, solid business. That's one thing I do want to encourage you. If you are in the community right now and you're tuning in live and you live abroad, put me in the chat, and then put what city in the world you live in. So, and if it's not a city that we know of, put the city in the country. So I know that Stephanie is in Spain. I'm not sure. I can't remember what city she's in. Put that in the chat, because I want people to get sort of a round view. And guys, if y'all got some time, my expats, I need y'all. Okay, if y'all can hang through, we're going to kind of hang in here for as long as people will ask questions. I am huge on knowing what I know and not owning what I don't. You're never going to hear me or see me talking about things that I'm not intimately aware of. I don't do that. I ain't got reason to pump you up and to give you all these thoughts. I generally do not share information on what I don't know about. And so for that reason, if there are expats who know what they're talking about, who know what your experience is, you experienced it, you know what your experience is, I certainly would love to have you chime in and chat. There are some of you guys who, although you have not moved out of whatever country of origin you live in, you absolutely are traveled. I mean, legit. Like, Stephanie just chimed in. She is in Medina, I think it is. I'm not sure.
Medina.
Yeah.
Medina?
Yeah, I'm not sure. We're not
Malaga.
Yeah,
She's in Malaga. I know how to say Malaga. I think
we're
Malaga's
not going to keep butchering names over here. I can tell you that right. Help me. That's what we're not doing. So I just want to let you know, she's in Spain. You can read it. You can sound it out. But here's what I'm getting at, Cherie. everybody has a lived experience. Right. Everybody has a learned experience, and yours is legitimate. So if you have any specific things that you've gone through and you wanted to shed some light on it as we're talking, obviously we live here in Panama City, so we know about what we talk about here, and we certainly want to give you some insight. But let's kind of look at, we got people chiming in. Patrick said he's been to Ramstein. Tatiana says, I'm slow. Took me a minute to figure out how to connect to the comment. Hello from Connecticut. You not slow. No. Listen, you just taking your time, girl. Listen. But look, listen. Help me. It's okay. It's okay. We all need some help. Cherie, you got anything you want to add?
Okay, so we got our first question. So Crystal posed, once I sell my home and move, when it's time to renew my passport, what address would I use? Okay, in the mail form. Okay, so as far as for...
Babe, do me a favor. Slow down. Read the whole thing, because I don't want people who are listening
that aren't reading the comments.
Right, they need to hear the whole question.
I'm sorry.
Thanks.
So once I sell my home and move, when it's time to renew my passport, what address would I use to receive the new one? Question. And then would that be the mail forwarding address? Aisha, if you can chime in on this as well in the comments, I'm going to give you my thoughts, but she may know because she's been here a little longer than me. I haven't had to renew my passport. But as a U.S. citizen, when you relocate to another country, you do want to maintain a mailing address in the United States. If it's a mail forwarding address, in many cases, you can use that for most of your government documentation. For everything I know, for us, we have a mail forwarding service that we use that's actually located in Florida. I'm trying to think which address that is. No, that's actually the Atlanta address. We have a mail forwarding service in Atlanta that we use as our business address. It's everything there. And so that gives us the address there. So when it comes time to renew our passport, we would update everything with that. But we also have family that's still in the area that we previously lived in. And that's our primary address for in the States. So we can use that address. But if you don't have a family member, you don't have an address, a physical address in the States, I'm pretty certain that you can use your mail forwarding address. I know there are a number of expats here that have been here for years that don't own properties in the States anymore, and they use their mail forwarding addresses for pretty much everything. But I would definitely suggest, Crystal, that you do a little more research on that. I would probably just go to the passport, their website, and it'll probably let you know what type of addresses they accept. But I do know that you can also renew your passports online now. At least for right now, you can. I don't know if that's going to change, but right now you can do your renewals online.
Great question. Great question. Tatiana says, is there such a thing as doing your research too early? No. She has a 5-year plan. I would say 100% absolutely not. Cherie began researching, I would say informally, probably 3 years before we actually made the move. Mm-hmm. It probably wasn't until about 2 years before we made the move that you began to get kind of drilled down onto where we were going to go and why. You want to walk people through that journey just a little bit, babe?
Yeah, I don't think you can start researching too soon. The main thing is that you just have to, as you get closer to, your actual timeline to move, that you go back and follow up on things to make sure that things haven't changed, that any of the regulations haven't changed, the type of visa, things like that haven't changed. And so staying on top of those things. So if you're saying you have a 5-year plan now, the visas that are available and the requirements for those visas today may not be the same next year. So you're going to have to stay on top of those things and check it and see if there are changes that happen and that may affect your relocating. I know for one instance, the Friendly Nations visa here for Panama, when we moved here, and that's the visa where you buy a property or you invest a certain amount of money in a bank here. It was $100,000. Shortly after we moved here, it increased to $300,000. And I think recently, or it's getting ready to change to $500,000. And so there are things like that you're going to have to stay on top of so that you know what those changes are. I would definitely, as you get closer, contact an immigration attorney here that can keep you up to date on those changes as well, to help you just stay on top of everything, because things do change in other countries, just like in the States. But oftentimes, I know here in Panama, things change frequently. And so you'll want to stay on top of that. But I don't think that you can start planning, because there's a lot of things that you want to research, you want to know, and also, like I said, stay on top of it to know if things change.
Yeah, babe, real quick before you go on to the next question, guys, if you have not taken the time to subscribe to our channel, we certainly want to encourage you to do that. This is the season finale of a 51-week season where we have been posting something every week for the last 51 weeks. So here's what I want to encourage you. As you do your own research, you may want to start with the videos that we posted. And it's not a shameless plug, because the truth of the matter is that, 8 weeks ago, we may have said something that matters to you today. And so they're normally around 30 minutes. I think the longest may be an hour when we've done lives. But there's not many of them. As you get a chance, just dial it up and start listening to it, from transportation to immigration to pricing to cost of living. I mean, we've talked about at least our experience. Let me also add this last thing. Whenever you're researching a place, understand that it's a part of a bigger place. Panama City is one city in the entire country. I will tell you this, as far as the definition of a city, it is the only city in Panama. Now, what you and I go to think of townships or, maybe regions and things like that. No, Panama City is the only city like this in all of Panama. So you've got places that you can go, and obviously in the western parts of the country, those are not cities that you're going to see skyscrapers and the levels of infrastructure and all. They're towns. They're municipalities. Don't get me wrong. There's structure there, but it's nowhere near where we live here in the city. And I will suggest to you and help you understand that Panama City is the most developed city in all of Central America. There are people from all over Central and South America that come here to vacation, come here to kind of make their way around the world. If you think about how Panama is built, it actually joins the Pacific and the Atlantic Ocean. So therefore, there's a bridge literally called the Bridge of Americas. It's a place that joins things, and it is very cosmopolitan in that area. Well, don't think for 1 second that you're going to get other cities like this in Panama, because you won't. And I'm saying that because when you're doing your research, Barcelona is very different than Madrid. It's very different than, you can say Italy is a huge country. Rome is very different than Sicily. It's very different than Florence. Some of it might be in the north and that sort of stuff. So I need y'all to understand that what goes in one area may not be the case in others. I don't want you to be like myself, and you good at taking a grain of truth and running with it. And now all of a sudden that's the law. So you need to slow down and do your research. Come on, babe.
Right. So I wanted to go back to Crystal. Aisha did respond to your question. I don't know if you saw it in the chat, so I just want to share what she posted. She says she has not renewed her passport. She also has an address at a family member's house, but she also said that you may want to check with the U.S. Embassy in regard to how they would receive your passport renewal here in Panama. So you can always go online to the U.S. Embassy here in Panama and probably get that information as well. And so thanks, Aisha, for adding that to the conversation. The next question we have is from Stony. Welcome, Stony. And he or she, I'm sorry, I can't tell, but Stony asks, can you maintain your banking in the U.S. and use your credit card in Panama? Do some of the properties accept credit cards? So yes, you can maintain your banking in the United States. We have bank accounts in the United States because our business is registered in the United States. We do business from the U.S. We do business virtually. And we can use our cards here in Panama. Most places in Panama accept Visa and MasterCard. A few places accept American Express. It's not as commonly accepted. So Visa and MasterCard are pretty much accepted. You may initially, when you first come, you might have some challenges with your card going through just because it's international and your bank has to recognize that you are actually in another country. So just be prepared for that, if you use your card and it doesn't go through, you just need to contact your bank in the States and let them know so that they can clear it so they recognize that it's not fraud. And as far as properties, I don't know if you're referring to rentals, and we'll get into that in a minute, but most stores, shops accept Visa and MasterCard. So when it comes to, you want to jump in first? Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, I just want to clarify one quick thing. Remember, we live in Panama City. So when she says most shops, she's talking about in relation to Panama City. And part of the reason, we're going to talk about this in a minute, that we're ending this season is so that we can commit to traveling to more parts of Panama, so that we can tell you, oh, we know for a fact that this happens or that happens. What I also will tell you is, just because there's a visa sticker doesn't mean that they have a working visa machine. And I'm just going to tell you, if you go to the fish market, if you go to any of these different places that are maybe popular tourist attraction, please carry cash.
Yeah.
This is not the U.S. where folk don't use cash. I can promise you, on one street, you can go to a place, an establishment that takes Visa. You can go to another one that don't take it. They only take cash. You can go to the next one right next door that takes Apple Pay. And then you'll go to another one that, quite frankly, you might have to pay to go to their bathroom. I am telling you what I know to be true. So don't make the mistake that we made, and that is, I'll never forget that time we sat down and literally the owner of the establishment had to walk us to an ATM because we didn't know where it was, so that we could get cash to pay for our meal. So that's a whole thing.
Yeah, and that was after we sat down and ate. And so, yeah, that's an excellent point. So when you do come to Panama, you want to, I carry cash. Because like Glenn said, sometimes you'll go in an establishment, they don't accept cash, or even if they have a sign up that says they do, their machine may be broken, or the person that's working that day doesn't know how to use it. And so for whatever reason, so especially for like smaller things, you want to carry cash always. I always keep some cash on me, so when I go out and about, I can cover expenses, because we had that one experience and don't want to have that again. Because in my mind, being from the U.S., you finish dinner and they like, it's time to pay the bill, and they like, you got cash? I'm like, I ain't got no cash. I don't even know where an ATM is. I'm like, okay, they getting ready to call the police because I can't pay for my bill. I mean, my mind just went there, and he's like, oh no, it's an ATM. I'll walk you. It's over there. I was like, I don't know where that is. He was like, oh, well, come on. He walked us to the ATM so that we could pay him his cash and pay for the meal. And so, I mean, it wasn't a big deal, but you want to be prepared for situations like that. And so always carry some form of cash on you when you're here in Panama. It is a cash country. Most people do use cash for a lot of things. And so that's something you will have to adjust to.
Yeah, and I do want to let you know we are on the U.S. dollar, for those that have not researched. It's one of the reasons why we chose Panama, was because there is no foreign exchange. They do have a Panamanian coin called the Balboa. Some people call it the Martinelli. You'll understand that story later. But it is against the U.S. currency, so it's dollar for dollar. If something costs $50 here, it's 50 U.S. dollars. It's not a markup or down because of currency.
So speaking of paying for things, here in Panama, there are a couple different prices. So there are local prices, there are gringo prices. And so typically, and this is more so in like smaller local shops, little mom and pop shops, that they will charge you, if they clearly can identify that you are a foreigner, sometimes they will charge you a gringo price. I have to be honest, we kind of blend in, and I've learned when I go into shops to not speak a lot of English. That's why it's key to learn a few essential Spanish words so you can ask for certain things in Spanish. And I'll ask for things in Spanish as much as I can and say as little as possible in English, so they aren't sure whether I'm Panamanian or not, so that I get the Panamanian price versus getting the gringo price. But if you come walking in and it's clear, I mean, you got to think about, people always tell you, like when you go to New York or someplace, people can tell that you don't belong there, that you don't fit in. And so if you walk in and they can clearly tell you don't fit in, they may upcharge you a little bit.
Yeah, and I will say that, and I learned this from our friend, he's a restaurateur, he owns several restaurants here. James was telling us, yeah, you got the local price, the Panamanian price, you've got the expat price, in the sense that they know you live here, maybe you have a cedula or something, and they know you live here, but then you kind of get a price, and then they have the you ain't never been here and we gonna charge you whatever we can get away with price. And so one of the other hacks to that is make friends. Hang out with Panamanians, hang out with locals, whatever city or country you're in. And that's one of the reasons why Sheree and I chose to live in the city, was because we wanted the most opportunity to meet the most people in a diverse situation. We did not want to be locked into an expat community where people just was lulled into not having to speak the language. I can't learn Spanish fast enough personally, and every time I get a chance to use it, I do, and I'm building on my vocabulary every day through immersion. So I want to encourage you that when you connect with the local community, they love and respect that. And quite frankly, there are times where I'll have Omar go in and negotiate a price, and I'm sitting in the car. And he's going in, he's Panamanian, he's da-da-da, and then I come in and pay for it, or I come in where I give him the money. So I just want to encourage you that there's a reason why getting to know the local culture, respecting it, it absolutely pays to do that.
Right, and speaking about the language, Panamanians appreciate when you try to speak Spanish. As much as you may butcher it up, they appreciate that you're trying. Now, Panamanians, we've talked about this before, Panamanians, for the most part, they learn English in school. If they've gone through school now, depending on their economic status, how far they go in school matters, because they may not have gone all the way through high school or secondary education. But they learn they learn English in school, in elementary, primary school. They learn English. So for the most part, most Panamanians understand some English. And so you always want to be mindful of that when you're talking, whether it's in the back of a taxi cab, whether it's in the back of an Uber, if it's walking through a store and you're commenting. Know that someone may be able to, that's listening, may actually know what you're saying. So be mindful of that. Be polite, be courteous. Just don't go in there and start ragging on stuff and then expect them to be so courteous to you after you've talked bad about them. So just be mindful of that. Now, they will not speak English, most of them. Now, if they're bilingual, if they work in an industry where they talk English all the time, then they will. But most people in the service industry, a lot of people in service industries, in these local shops, the local fondas are little eateries, local eateries throughout the city. The little local mom and pop shops, the souvenir shops and places like that, a lot of them do not speak English. And so you're going to have to know certain terms. You're going to know how to ask how much something costs. And that's another thing. Whenever you go into a shop for anything, you always want to ask them the price on the front end. Don't let them just take it to the register and ring you up. You want to ask them on the front end. And when you have cash, you also have the ability to negotiate price on many things. Now, I will say this, and excuse this term, I'm not saying this to offend anybody, it's just the term that I know. Don't Jew people down. Don't negotiate so much that you are paying them less than whatever it is you're buying is worth. These people work hard for their goods, the wares, the things that they make, and they should make a living off of it. So don't be cheap. Don't be stingy, and you just want to get such a good deal that you're paying nothing for something. So, but there is room for negotiation in most situations.
So I want to welcome you guys. There's quite a few of you all who are listening live. Thank you so much for tuning in. Welcome to Behind Closed Doors. This is our season finale. Sheree and I have been rocking for 51. Today marks 51 episodes in a row. We're going to take a break. If anybody's wondering why are we leaving Panama, you may want to stick around. We're going to talk about that a little bit. But if there are any questions that you have, maybe you're considering moving abroad, maybe you're considering, coming to visit, let us know. Also, if you are considering coming to visit, we do have a consulting arm of what we do in terms of coaching, where we call it Taste and See Experiences, where we do create itinerant type things and events that may be up your alley, and connect you to local vendors and people who can help carry that stuff out. Sheree can absolutely walk you through an entire litany of where you should go, when you should go there. We'll talk a little bit about rainy season versus dry season, things like that, so that you can make the most of your stay. We just had a person come and celebrate their 20th wedding anniversary in the middle of rainy season. but they also were extremely aware of what rainy season was and was not, and they chose to come anyway and had a beautiful experience. So I just want you guys to make sure that wherever you go, tap into boots on the ground that can show you around. Don't be the person that has to find out on the back end in a place where you have limited funds, limited resources, limited cultural knowledge. Maybe you don't speak the language. That's a recipe for a bad time. You get what I'm saying? It ain't got to be doom and gloom. You just have spent great money to have a horrible experience because you have not gone to the right places. That reminds me when I went to London. I will never forget leaving London. I vowed I'd never go back. Because in my opinion, having visited London, it is the most dreary, expensive place on the planet that has no respect for the U.S. dollar. Like legit, like bro, I'm good. Now, the minute I mention that to now, and I have several friends who are British that I've made friends post that. The first thing they say is, dude, you clearly, where did you go? That's the first thing they ask us. Well, where did you go? Because we ain't over here eating bland food. We ain't over here paying, extraordinary, obscene prices. And when I began to mention where I went, they said, well, listen, no wonder you did. You were not introduced to the culture and you had no idea how to, and so that's what you get with us. You get boots on the ground that can show you around, that can tell you based on your interests what it is that you want to do and what you don't want to do. We're only going to be here for the time that you guys want to be here. We've got people coming and going, and so if you have questions, load them up. If you have, maybe there are myths you want to hear about, but I do want to talk about kind of seasonally, helping people understand a little bit, not only the time zones and things like that, and why we chose Panama and what the seasons look like, babe.
Okay, so I'll start with the time zone. So Panama is on Eastern Standard Time, and so we do not observe daylight savings time. So we stay the same time as Eastern Standard all year round. And so when the East Coast in the States goes to Eastern Daylight Time, they fall back.
Well, it depends.
Whenever. There's an hour difference, whether they're behind us. Well, no, because now they're fall back. They're the same time as we are right now. So right now it's 12:37 here in Panama. It's 12:37 in New York City right now. When they spring forward, they will be an hour ahead of us, but we will still be, when it's 12:37 here, it'll be 1:37 in New York City. And so that's the difference as far as the time zone. So we actually, when they spring forward, during daylight savings, we're actually, I guess, on Central Time. And so, technically,
and then even because depending if Central Time changes, we're not. So that's why you just got to remember that Panama.
It's an hour difference.
We're on Eastern Standard Time. We never change. The East Coast springs forward, they fall back. When they spring forward, they're an hour ahead of us. When they fall back, they're the same time as us. Right. Now, again, by the time you get to Central, that might be that they went an hour behind and came back. And listen, I just need y'all to understand it's a little tricky, but we love it because the other part that we love is the fact that the sun rises and sets pretty much the exact same time every day, all year, and you pretty much all year long get 12 hours of daylight and 12 hours of nighttime.
Right. So typically here in Panama, sunrise is around 6:30, between 6 and 6:30, and sunsets between 6:30 and 7 o'clock year round. And so you get that 7-hour window. So unlike like in the States during the summertime, you have, what I said?
7.
Oh, 12 hours, sorry. Unlike in the States during daylight savings, especially on the East Coast, you have, you can have longer days where it doesn't get dark until 9 o'clock. But then also in the wintertime, it starts getting dark at like 4 o'clock. And so we don't have that drastic a change here. And so that makes it much easier to rest. Your body gets accustomed to it. It's more along our actual natural circadian rhythm. So anybody that knows anything about circadian rhythms, it puts you more into that natural rhythm that your body is supposed to be in. And so we have started to develop, like when the sun goes down in the evening, we start getting tired. We actually get sleepy, and so we're ready to go to bed, so we're not staying up as late at night, especially when we're in the house. Now, if we're out and about doing stuff, that's something different, but if we're just in the house, we're getting more rest because the sun is down. And so that's actually been beneficial for our health to help us in that way. What did you put?
I tried to correct it. Daryl, I was just saying appreciate you, bruh. And it's our pleasure. And I spelled pleasure wrong the first time.
And you spelled it wrong the second time.
Okay. So I'll stop typing now.
So when we talk about the seasons, and so there's rainy season and there's dry season here in Panama. We'll get into that, Kayla. Hold tight. There's rainy season and dry season here in Panama. And so rainy season, people often think rainy season is there's torrential downpours, it's hurricanes, it's tropical storms. It's none of that. It rains. Rainy season is from March until November or December. But rainy season, for the majority of rainy season, think about Florida. When it rains in the summer, it'll rain, it dries up, and it's sunny the rest of the day. So it doesn't rain every day. It's usually light rains. Now, the months of October and November are the most rainiest during rainy season. That's when you're going to get the most torrential downpours. You're going to get the most rain during those months. You can go a couple of days with it raining all day. This year, we had quite a bit of rain. Last year was a drought, so it was a very light rainy season. So this year, we got quite a bit of rain. You may have heard or seen on the news up an area in Boquete to the west that they got a lot of rain, that, you know, they had landslides and mudslides and roads washing away because of the amount of rain that we got during rainy season. That is not normal. To get that amount of rain, but also the part that contributes to that, when there are, now Panama does not get hit by hurricanes. We don't get direct hits, but depending on where a hurricane is going, we will get rain from the hurricane. Because there were so many hurricanes this year back to back, and where their path is closer up to the western coast of Panama, which is where Boquete is, they got a lot more rain because of that than they normally would get. But that was because of the storm. And they did not get, it wasn't tropical storms, it wasn't hurricanes, but they just got an increased amount of rain because of the number of storms that were out in the ocean.
Yeah, no, and I appreciate that. I was typing, can't wait to see Stonia's team bats.
Okay.
It's and so they're in our Saturday morning. And let's talk a little bit about regrets, just so that we can kind of help people understand. We're going to talk about, in a few minutes, we're going to tell you why we are leaving Panama. We're probably going to get off here in about another 5 minutes, unless the questions just come pouring in, and we're going to share that with you. We're also going to talk to you guys a little bit about, how you can navigate your experiences a little bit easier. But one of the things that I want to encourage you is that, the thing that we love about Panama is the consistency. For the most part, the temperatures remain the same. From one day to the next, it's relatively the same, even during rainy or dry season. We're excited that, dry season is coming up, even though we're getting ready to leave. But last year, dry season is when all the celebrations take place. It's probably the best time of the year to come if you're trying to escape the winter, where you are. If you're trying to, it doesn't snow in Panama. It gets cold in the western, cool. I'll say the word cool because, I don't consider 60s cold.
That's cold.
But in Boquete and places out west, it can drop down, especially if it's raining, and you're going to have to wear a jacket, some jeans. I own 2 pair of jeans. I don't own any boots. I don't have a coat. I don't have anything, because here in the city, it's probably 75 to 85 all year long, somewhere in that neighborhood. It gets really humid, particularly during rainy season, and so it feels like it's in the 90s, but never anything above that. So for us, it was about the consistency. There's a question, Cherie, I want you to speak to it at some point. When visiting, do Americans have to get a COVID shot? Come on, babe.
So before I go to that question, real quick. So when we talk about seasons, also one thing you have to be mindful of, just like the seasons are different here, if you have children and you're thinking about the school schedule, that is different here. So the children here get out for winter. Their summer is technically winter in the States. And so they get out for summer break. December, January, and February is their summer break. They are going through school the rest of the year, but that's their summer break. So their summer break is during dry season here, which is technically the summer here. Unlike in the States, that will be in June, July, August. And so just be mindful of that if you're coming with children, or if you're looking to relocate here with children. You'll know if you put them in a Panamanian school that follows the Panamanian schedule, that will be their schedule. Now, there are some schools here that do still follow an American schedule, and so they would have the times off the same as in American schools, depending on the school you put them in. So the question that was asked was by Dog Lover and Sunshine 25, welcome. They asked, when visiting America, do we have to get a COVID shot? No, we do not. We're not required to get a COVID shot to re-enter into the United States. There are no health restrictions or anything. There are no shots or anything you are required to do coming here to Panama. Now, if you bring a pet, that's different. They have different requirements for pets. But we do not have to take any shots. We don't have to do anything to leave Panama, going back into the U.S. or coming back into the United States as of right now. Because COVID, they actually had it in pretty good control here. And so it wasn't as much of an issue as it was in the United States. And so they don't have those concerns here with COVID. They haven't even had I know that there's been some additional strains, some new strains of COVID in the U.S. They haven't really had those here. And so it's been pretty well maintained here. Trying to see if we have any other questions before we go to the big one.
Yeah, I don't think so, babe. But I do want to encourage you guys to subscribe to the channel. If you've not subscribed to our channel, please do so. We are excited. We do have an opportunity if you want to become a member of a community that we have here on YouTube. We certainly would love the support that enables us to kind of do what we need to do. We're excited. We're getting ready to shut down season 1. This will be our last broadcast of putting up new material every week. What we are going to do is we're going to repopulate some stuff that we, quite frankly, were good shows, but when we posted them, maybe there was a something going on in the world and the views were just really low, even though I think about the time when you shared about when you broke your ankle and the whole healthcare system, that didn't get a lot of traffic because I think it coincided with something major going on in the world. But we're going to sort of repurpose some really good content every week while we're gone on break, and we want to make sure that you guys get a chance to do and be a part of that. You want to take this question?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, so before we go to the big question, we have one more question from Jeannie's Out of the Bottle. Welcome to the show. So as veterans, and I've shared before that, I'm a disabled veteran, that I am a participant in the FMP Foreign Medical Program. Here in Panama, there are a few hospitals here in the city. And I also think there's one in Cherokee. There's that do Cherokee? Cherokee that accept.
Roll that R before Omar come for you.
Cherokee. That accept FMP benefits. There is not one particular one. There are several here in the city. I can provide a link in the description. I'll do that after we conclude the show. I'll update that in the link. There also is a Veterans in Panama WhatsApp group. I'll put the link to that. If you are a veteran, you do have to be a veteran to join that community. But if you are a veteran, that's a great resource for veterans to ask questions about veterans benefits, veteran services, different things that you can find here in Panama. So there are several places that do cover hospitals that do accept FMP. Just be mindful as a veteran, if you are disabled, FMP only covers your service-connected disability. It does not cover full coverage. So unlike in the States where we can go to any VA hospital and be covered for anything, you do not have that option here. It will only be for whatever your disability is. That's all that FMP covers for.
Babe, I'm not sure if we need to get into it relative to this question, but when it comes to supplement insurances and things like that, I know we did a whole episode on that. You want to touch on that just a little bit?
Yeah, and I actually will be doing an update to that. So there are several local insurance companies that you can get a health insurance plan as a supplement to cover you for everything else. There are a number of clinics here in the city that have health plans that you can get for routine medical appointments, things like that. And so you have other options here, and the cost is significantly less than any insurance you'd pay for in the States if you had to pay out of pocket. And so that's something I would strongly recommend looking into. Also, if you have dependents as a veteran, there are a few hospitals that also accept Champ VA and why can I TRICARE? I always can't remember TRICARE. That do accept that, and so you would just need to check with which hospitals do accept that and find out whether they do direct billing or whether you have to pay out of pocket and then get reimbursed. Now, most of the hospitals that do F&P do direct billing, so you don't have to pay for those services up front. But for Champ VA and TRICARE, some of the facilities do require you to pay up front and then you get reimbursed. So that's something to look into a little more prior to you coming here. And like I said, I'll put the link in the description for that veterans group that you can join to ask those questions, and that's where you'll get all that information on the specific facilities that accept F&P as well as Champ VA and TRICARE.
One thing to keep in mind, guys, things are ever changing.
Yes.
When we came here, there was a specific hospital that did pretty much 100% of the veterans that were here went there because they had real comprehensive programming and things like that. But they have since gone through an investigation, and we'll just leave it at that. And it wasn't pretty, and they were doing things that wasn't up above, all the way above board. So as a result of that, that's no longer optional. However, I will say this: I know just as recent as 2 days ago, a buddy of mine has taken over at one of the major hospitals, the Johns Hopkins affiliate, and he's going to be heading up a program that is specifically designed for veterans, making sure we get the F&P stuff online and all of the things. So the information is ever changing. That's why it's a good idea to get on the call with either Cherie or maybe somebody else you may have met online. But the important thing is get information from people who are here, because one thing about Panama is you can take this to the bank, that yesterday's price ain't today's price.
No.
Hello?
Help me.
Yeah, listen, because things be changing. And we just had a new election earlier this year, new president. It's a 5-year administration, and that's how their term limits work. It's 5 years at a time. And so there are policies that are going to be revamped, just like in any other new administration. So just make sure that whenever you're ready to pull the trigger, that you have the most up-to-date recent research, and that you're just not going off of press clippings, babe.
Yes, and one last question from Jeannie's Out of the Bottle. In regard to the health clearance, your disability will not have anything to do with that. Their health clearance is really simple. It's basic, and so you'll be fine. You'll be very fine. That's not going to affect you getting approved for your pensionado visa at all.
At all. So listen, we got a big announcement to make. We are leaving Panama, and we wanted to let Calvin, look, I want to play Chuck Baby so bad. What I realize is that, hey Calvin, we's official now. Our channel has grown to the point to where it's being monetized. Every time we show up, YouTube be kicking us a few coins. It ain't a lot, but I don't want to mess that up. And the minute you post something that's controversial or something
it's
not necessarily,
license.
it's a licensing thing,
licensing
like legit, like, and you got to go through all these hoops to say, well, did Chuck let you? Well, Chuck has gone on to be with the Lord, so no, he didn't give us permission. But they shut you down, or they not monetizing your channel if you do that. And so for all my content creators out there, just be careful. Make sure that whenever you're posting stuff, it's your content, because if you're monetized, you won't get paid for that episode. Because of that. And so as much as I absolutely want to rock out, look, I brought my music station just for that.
You got to find an instrumental.
I got no, babe, but see, now they got rules on the instrumental, and listen, we just gonna keep moving like we've been moving. Fab and Good Vibes, hey, how you doing? Let's go, Cherie, what you got?
So, as Glenn stated, we are leaving Panama. So, let me give you a little backstory. So, last year, for those of you that have followed us, and if you go back and check our content, I fractured my ankle on October 1st of last year. We went back to the States, had to have surgery. I had to have surgery. Our intention was to stay through Thanksgiving, but because of my injury, I had to get back to do physical therapy and some other reasons. We came back, so we missed Thanksgiving last year with the family. So this year, we're going back to spend Thanksgiving with family. Recently, my father passed away a few weeks ago, and so we're going back for that as well. And so we're going back to kind of go connect with family, also to get some rest. And as Glenn stated earlier, we will be, when we do return back to Panama, we're going to be going out and creating some content for you guys. And so the next season won't launch until January, but over these next coming weeks, we will be highlighting some of our content that people have asked about. So those will be replays that will be playing over the next coming weeks to keep you guys informed and up to date on things so that you can go back and research things. And come January, we'll be starting new. We'll be featuring more excursions, more out and about type videos, talking about food in Panama, the sights, the scenes. We're going to talk about more of the fun stuff in 2025.
Yeah, and so when Cherie says excursions, one of the things, and this was our deal when we moved to Panama, is that we wanted to consider Panama not only home, but also a hub. Panama is very, very centrally located to the world. We can jump on a plane and get a direct flight to Colombia in 45 minutes. You can jump on a plane and get a direct flight to Costa Rica in 45 minutes the other way. Obviously, you can get to South America, and we want to get down to Brazil. There are a bunch of places that we're going to go, and we're going to show you behind closed doors of those areas as well. When you look on Instagram and you see all the beautiful wildlife of Panama, most of that stuff is in the western part of the country. It's not where we live. It's about an 8-hour drive, six, 7, 8, depending on where in the country you're going through very rough terrain. And so we're planning on flying up to Boquete to see the coffee farms and all the things, and then maybe making a trek back to catch the rest of the countryside and stop and interview locals and actually give you guys some of our perspective of why these places are good or not. Cherie, people always ask us, why did we choose the city? We chose the city based upon our lifestyle. Mm-hmm. Cherie and I are not beach people. I can promise you, we lived in Virginia Beach, Virginia, for probably 9 years prior to moving here. And I can tell you, I've actually put my feet in the sand in Virginia Beach twice. I think that it should be a law that says that if the city that you live in don't let you go to the beach all year long, it shouldn't have beach in its name. You should just call it just Virginia. No beach. But I laugh because we're not beach people. So no beach front. Now we're water people, and the good news is that we're very, very close to. Obviously, we live on an isthmus, so we're incredibly close to water anytime we want to get there. But it's just something. Why'd you look at me like that? What's wrong?
What is an isthmus?
Oh. An isthmus is a body of land that is connected to two other bodies of land. That's the short end of it. A peninsula is connected to one end, like Florida, and it's surrounded by water on 3 sides. An isthmus is connected on one end land, the other end land, and it's water on each side. So we live on an isthmus. So, yeah. I'm sorry.
So I just wanted to clarify that because I know I didn't know what an isthmus was. And so, thank you guys for joining us. I wanted to acknowledge a couple people. Patricia, thank you for tuning in. Yes, we do remember meeting you on the causeway, and glad you were able to jump on live. Fab and good vibes, no problem. Hey, it's all good. Glad you came back. Glad you are enjoying the content. I do want to encourage you guys, if you have not subscribed to the channel, to please subscribe. And also, if you would like to become one of our day one members, go ahead and click that join button. It's a nominal monthly fee. I think it's less than $5 to become a member. You'll get shout outs. You'll get badges. You also will get access to content before it is released. And then we'll be doing some behind the scenes things in that community for members as well. You'll have the opportunity for live chats with us. So we're going to keep adding more benefits to that as it grows.
One thing I want to add, and this is a thought, we've talked about it, but I want to say this out loud and make sure that it's being recorded. We have a ton of people who come to Panama who have asked to just meet with us. They want to go out to dinner. They want to, grab coffee. What I want to do, Cherie, is I want to create that kind of opportunity for our day ones.
Awesome.
And the reason why is because, quite frankly, y'all, it would wear us out. So when people come here, quite honestly, you're on vacation. We live here. So that means we got stuff that we doing. And we're not always available. But for our day ones, I want to schedule meetups that we have regularly, that when you come to town, there'll be a way for you to come through, pull up, we'll go grab coffee. I'd love to meet you face to face. And we do meetups, maybe surrounded by food, of course, and all the things. But I want to create that kind of special moment. And in my mind, at that particular point, that would be certainly something worth you paying a monthly subscription. I'm going to make time for you. Does that make sense? And so I just want to let you guys know that. And hopefully that's something that excites you as well.
And so we will work on that, creating some type of opportunity for the day ones when you come to Panama. Now, I'm going to do a disclaimer. If we're not here in country, what we will do is we will create an opportunity for you to meet someone that is here, that's an expat, that can give you some insight, whether it's your meeting with Omar in person or somebody. We'll create some type of opportunity for you to be able to connect with someone in the event we're not here. Now, we don't travel a lot, so we more than likely will be here, but we'll come up with a way to do that, to add that as a benefit. I think that would be a great add for the people that are day ones, because you're invested in what it is that we do, and we appreciate your support. Calvin, we will be back in mid-December. As of right now, it's kind of fluid, so we'll see, but definitely we'll be back in January. And speaking of January, so once a month, currently we do a fellowship every first Saturday of the month. It's a part of our Breakfast in the Word community, which is a online Bible study that we created. The information for that is also in the description. And once a month, every first Saturday, we meet to do a gospel brunch. So if you're in Panama, if you're visiting, or if you live here in Panama and you're going to be in Panama City, please come out and join us every first Saturday. We will be meeting at Mika's Cafe in San Francisco every first Saturday at 8:30 a.m. And so that's one opportunity where you guys can come out. You can come meet us, meet other members of the community, meet other expats that are here. And so, yeah, we have that in place already. I forgot about that.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So definitely want to encourage you guys. Again, first Saturdays, it's a gospel brunch. You don't have to be a part of our Breakfast and the Word community to be a part of that. It's just an opportunity for you to come out, meet us face to face. At least you know that once a month we're going to be in a place where you can come. We would love to see you. But if you want to do something a little bit more specific, maybe, you want to do some one-on-one stuff with us, and you just want to join the Day One community. Join, I think it's $5 a month or something like that. Join it, and then that way that moves you right up to the top of the priority list, and we're gonna make some time for you on one way, shape, form, or another. We're getting to the place, y'all, that where we didn't think that we would become this noticed. Now, I can tell you that our YouTube channel has absolutely mushroomed since we've been here. And so now what Sheree has to consistently remind me of, because I'm the party animal. Like, I will meet anybody 10 times day and night. Don't threaten me with a good time. Sheree is like, listen, we did not come to Panama to be stressed out running and gunning. We ain't doing all of that. So with that being said, we're going to get ready to get out of here, guys. I appreciate you. God bless, fellow Virginian. Just found the channel and subscribe. Thank you so much. Timeless Diva over there creating violence in the chat. We not fooling with her. Come on, babe. What you got?
And also just want to shout out again our newest Day One members, Your Sweet Natural Life, as well as Joseph Brewer. Want to thank you guys for signing up. Once again, click the join button on the page so that you can join and become a Day One member, so that you can get more direct access to us, as well as getting behind the scenes notifications, also get access to videos pre-release, and also you'll get shouted out here on the channel.
That's it. I think we're good, babe. Did we cover everything? Are we straight?
I think so. I want to thank you guys for taking the time today out of your busy schedules to jump in on this live. We appreciate you guys so much. We appreciate your support. We appreciate you taking the time to view our content. We're just sharing our heart and sharing our perspective, and we hope that it adds value to you.
Well, that's it, guys. Listen, I trust that you guys have an incredible Thanksgiving time of the year. For those of you guys who are making your way to Panama in the month of December, best time of the year to come to Panama. January, best time of the year to come to Panama. And the reason why is because Panama is a vibe during dry season, y'all. The streets don't sleep. And so if you want to turn up, December, January, February is when they have Carnival. Like, it's a situation. Do you understand me? So you will not be bored. That is for sure. Gary, thank you so much. Appreciate you. Stoney, thanks so much. Appreciate you guys. They pull up in the in our community on Saturday mornings all the time, and so we appreciate you guys. Joseph said the Brooks have been my #1 source for information on Panama. No hard sell, just real folks. Looking forward to face-to-face. No, Joseph, listen, Cherie and I don't get paid on whether or not you come to Panama or not. Yep. Let me just be really honest. Mm-hmm. God has blessed us. Mm-hmm. He has blessed us in a way that we get to live our life on our terms. And we get to show up, and we have more time freedom than most people we know. I've got millionaire friends who don't have the time freedom that I do. And it's always a thing. And so I am super grateful for any opportunity I have to share, to sit down and encourage, because quite frankly, it's fun. It's fun to be able to give back and share. And we're at a space in our life where we ain't done. But this is a great opportunity for us to be able to explore what our next chapter is going to look like, and we certainly appreciate y'all. Gary says, and let me say, Cherie and I had a great call.
Yes, we
I
did.
heard, sir. I heard. Listen. I heard. No, Cherie is fun to jump on a call with because she's passionate about research. And if you don't want to talk to me about no research, I promise you, I will have you jacked up. The stories will be right, but they'll be in the wrong place. And you'll be at this place. Listen, I will bring a bad name to the Brooks' name. You don't want me. So Cherie is always more than happy to do that. At the end of the day, here's what I know to be true. You cannot get to any place of significance by yourself. And the reason is because we all need some help. Y'all be good, and we'll see you next season on Breakfast. Oh, I'm sorry. I done got the name all wrong. We will see y'all at Let's try that again. Repeat. We will see you guys again next season for Behind Closed Doors. Y'all be good, and we'll talk soon.
Bye, guys.